Have you ever noticed how quickly the world can change? A place covered in flowers during spring can become hot and dry in summer, then turn golden in autumn before disappearing beneath snow in winter. The same trees, the same mountains, the same planet. Yet, every few months, the world seems to become a different place. So, what is really causing all of this? A common explanation is that Earth moves closer to the Sun during summer and farther away during winter. It sounds logical. After all, standing closer to a fire makes you warmer, but that is not what creates the seasons. In fact, Earth is actually closest to the Sun in early January, when much of the Northern Hemisphere is experiencing winter. So the real answer has nothing to do with simply being closer or farther away. It begins with the way Earth is tilted. Our planet does not travel around the Sun while standing perfectly upright. It leans slightly to one side, at an angle of about 23.5 degrees. That may not sound like much, but this small tilt changes how sunlight reaches every part of the planet throughout the year. Imagine Earth moving around the Sun, while its tilted axis continues pointing in almost the same direction. For part of the year, the Northern Hemisphere leans toward the Sun. The sunlight arrives more directly. The Sun climbs higher in the sky. It rises earlier and sets later. That means the ground receives stronger sunlight for more hours each day. Slowly, the land begins to warm. The oceans absorb more heat, plants grow faster, and summer arrives. But while the Northern Hemisphere is leaning toward the Sun, the Southern Hemisphere is leaning away. There, sunlight reaches the surface at a lower angle. It spreads across a wider area, so the energy becomes weaker. The days are shorter, the nights are longer, and winter begins. This is why summer in Europe, Asia, and North America happens at the same time as winter in Australia and Southern Africa. Then, Earth continues along its orbit. About 6 months later, the situation reverses. The Southern Hemisphere leans toward the Sun, while the Northern Hemisphere leans away. The seasons change places, but the angle of sunlight is only part of the story. The length of the day matters too. Think about a long summer afternoon. The Sun may remain in the sky for many hours, giving the surface more time to absorb heat. Even after sunset, the ground and buildings continue releasing the warmth they collected during the day. In winter, the Sun rises later and disappears earlier. There is less time to warm the surface and more time for heat to escape during the long night. That is why winter's sunlight can still look bright, but feel much weaker. You can picture this with a flashlight. Shine it straight onto a table, and the light creates a small, bright circle. Now tilt the flashlight. The same light spreads across a wider area and becomes less intense. That is exactly what happens to sunlight during winter. It arrives at a lower angle, spreading its energy over more ground. There are also moments during the year when this tilt creates important turning points. Around June, the Northern Hemisphere receives its longest day of the year. This is the summer solstice. At the same time, the Southern Hemisphere experiences its shortest day. Around December, the opposite happens. Between them are the equinoxes. around March and September. During an equinox, day and night are almost equal in length across much of the planet. These moments mark the transition into spring and autumn. But not every place experiences 4 seasons in the same way. Near the equator, sunlight remains fairly direct throughout the year. The length of the day also changes very little. So instead of a cold winter and a warm summer, many tropical regions mainly experience a rainy season and a dry season. Closer to the poles, the changes become far more dramatic. During summer, the sun may remain above the horizon for weeks or even months. It circles the sky, but never fully disappears. This is called the midnight sun. During winter, the sun may not rise for a very long time. The region enters the polar night, and suddenly, Earth's small tilt no longer seems small at all. It can decide whether a place receives months of sunlight or months of darkness. The seasons also shape life. They tell plants when to grow. They tell animals when to migrate, when to reproduce, when to store food, and when to sleep through the cold. Human life has also followed these cycles for thousands of years. Farming, harvesting, travel, festivals, even the way cities are built, has been influenced by the changing seasons. So what would Earth look like without its tilt? There would still be warm regions and cold regions. The equator would remain hot, the poles would remain cold, but the dramatic changes between spring, summer, autumn, and winter would become much weaker. Day length would barely change. Many ecosystems would lose the seasonal signals they depend on, and large parts of human life would develop very differently. If Earth were tilted much more, the opposite problem would appear. Summers could become dangerously hot. Winters could become far more severe. The seasons might become so extreme that many places would be difficult to live in. So the next time the air suddenly turns cold, or the first flowers begin to appear after winter, remember that the cause is not a great change in Earth's distance from the sun. It is something much quieter. Our planet is simply traveling through space while leaning slightly to one side. And from that small tilt come the seasons that transform the world around us. And there is one more thing the seasons reveal. Earth is not simply moving around the sun, it is carrying every forest, every ocean, every city, and every living creature through a constantly changing pattern of light. A few extra hours of daylight can wake an entire landscape. Snow begins to melt. Rivers rise, seeds open beneath the soil, birds return from distant places. Then, months later, the light begins to fade again. Leaves fall, animals prepare for colder days, and the land slowly becomes quiet. Nothing on Earth needs to understand the planet's tilt. Life simply responds to it. Year after year, generation after generation. The same cosmic movement continues shaping the rhythm of the world. So the seasons are more than changes in weather. They are the visible result of Earth's journey through space, a journey we rarely notice, even though every spring, every summer, every autumn, and every winter is part of it.